that you did a really good encouraging the students and engaging them. You're always moving and asking questions and showing them with a lot of examples, which I know I found was always helpful when teachers did a lot of examples instead of just one and being, go, you can do it by yourself now kind of a thing. I really appreciated that. And you obviously knew your content very well. I'm happy you can tell the time. It's very good. But yeah, I think you picked an important lesson that I feel a lot of children these days don't know how to read. Those types of, what's it called? Not digital. Analog. There you go. I can't even remember the word anymore. Analog clocks, because digital is so omnipresent in our lives. So I thought that was really cool. I really liked it. Okay. Sorry, here's the paper.
It was obvious that your objectives were clear. Obviously, that students be able to tell different times just solely based on the hour without minutes yet. So that's good. And obviously, I'm sure you incorporated learning the song into your objectives and you used it throughout the lesson. So I thought that was awesome. I had one quick question. What grade did you attend?
Oh, this is for first graders.
Awesome.
First graders, the actual standard is tell and write time in hours and half hours using analog and digital clocks. So half hours would have been too much of a stretch to fit into a 7 to 10 minute lesson. So that's why I mentioned it in the lesson really briefly that we would continue on into half hours. And then for second graders, it's a little bit more complicated.
It says, was the lesson music intensive or other content intensive? It was obviously not music intensive, but I think that you did a really good job of incorporating music into the lesson, and the piggyback song I think was great, especially for first graders. They know I'm a little teapot, and so they will have that tune in their head, and then by learning and singing the song more than once, I think that was good so that we can remember it, and then I think it was really good use of music.
The question is, did the teacher do a good job at modeling? And I think, like she said, you used a lot of good examples, and it started with you, and then there was always interactive time for us to either try it or talk to it, like, with partner work, and I thought that was really helpful because it kind of gave us a chance to, like, make it a game almost, like, oh, I'm giving you this time, which kind of, like, made it not so academic, like, almost like a fun interaction, but it started with you modeling it, which was, I mean, I don't really know how else you would do it, but you did a good job on it, so well done.
Thank you. I thought you were really great at balancing like modeling for you and then having us do activities so that we could kind of reinforce what you taught us. So I feel like one of those examples would be when you had us like group up and do the worksheet on our own and assign each other times to do on our worksheets, and I feel like you did a great job of like maintaining control of the classroom you let us like have some freedom to do whatever we wanted. So I thought you did a really good job balancing both of those.
Alright, so the question is, what assessments were used? Could student knowledge be truly assessed? You obviously had these worksheets, which were similar to what you said what the homework would be like, and that the homework would have assigned times. So I think that in and of itself is the assessment. You also asked questions as to, which hand was the smaller hand, which hand was the larger hand. And then of course you also had us go over, the ones that you put on the board. So I think you assessed it pretty well.
One of the last questions we have is was the lesson appropriate for the age grouping? Why or why not? And I believe it is. Telling time is definitely a lost art, as we were talking about. Most kids can only read digital clocks now. So it's really good. It's age appropriate. They're right at that time where they're recognizing numbers and able to kind of place those connections and stuff. So they're right in the right development period. So I believe it was.
And then the extension of the lesson, you mentioned that either you had done it previously or it's a lesson that had to take longer than 10 minutes. So I think, there's many ways that you could extend this, whether that be like those little they're like little yellow clocks, you know, that you could like have them like
That was
okay,
actually,
class.
We can make them out of paper plates or something.
Yeah, that was actually one of my ideas. So if I were to use this lesson in the future, one of my extension ideas was to have them make it, whether it was in class or at home with their parents, and they use paper plates and make it so that you use one of those pins that like spread open in the back. That way, both of the hands can turn, and that way when we get to class and have those for each student, then I would test them and they can do it on their own and raise them up and show me. So,
Good job.
Good job.